Good evening, everybody. For those of you who do watch, thank you very much. So this is going to be a two-part video series just because I want to try to keep them underneath 20 minutes. And that being said, I'm just going to dive right on in. So last night I woke up from a dream I was having. And it was an interesting dream that had me driving. So while I was driving, I was on a road that as I was going down it, all of a sudden it got completely blocked off and I had to come to a stop, and I got out and there's tons of people just moving in the same direction. And as these tons of people are moving, I I kind of noticed that they didn't look quite right. I mean, they looked like normal people, but something was off. And it was interesting because I had this desire in me, and I'm trying to run through this throng of people because I need to get a seat. And I have to get inside of this building in order to get this seat. So as I'm moving along, the people are trying to block my way. And I'm trying to weave in and out of them to get there. And when I finally get through the last little bit of line, because the large group is being kind of held at bay from the building I need to be into to get this seat. And I break through, and now I'm just sprinting. I'm sprinting as fast as I can. I get inside the building, and as I get in there, I just see the seats just disappearing. So it was interesting because as soon as I get in there and I'm watching the seats disappear, then I see the throng of people finally, whatever was holding them back, they're released and they're moving towards the building. I mean, they're coming as fast as they possibly can towards the building. And as they're coming into the building, they start trying to grab onto me. So now I am sitting here and I am running through the building trying to get away from this throng of people. And then I wake up. Now, normally, I would think of most dreams as just, it's a dream. And I usually forget my dreams within 5 minutes of waking up. I'm kind of like, what did I just dream about? What was going on? But in a few instances, I have had very vivid dreams where I can see detail. I can feel the exertion. It's very realistic. And I've had a few of these dreams. And I know the Bible specifically states that old men will dream dreams. Yes, I'm calling myself an old man. When you've lived for, I guess, half of a century or more, you can start to consider yourself old. But and this comes from Paul states this. Paul quotes Joel 2 verse 28 in Acts 2 verse 17. So Paul quotes that, where he specifically states, your daughters and sons will prophesy, your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams. And Paul is stating that these types of things are going to occur in the last days. And I've had other dreams. I've made videos about them. I mean, you can go through all my videos and find where I talk about my different dreams that I've had. And could this particular dream be symbolism of what is to come? Possibly. Maybe. I find it interesting, though, that when I have extremely vivid dreams, I remember them. They just stick in my head. I can remember all the previous ones I've had. And the first time I've had a dream that was so extremely vivid was in 2016, 2017 timeframe. I don't remember the exact time frame when I had the dream, but I remember the dream. I remember all the details from the beginning to the end of the dream. And in that particular dream, and another one just like it, war was breaking out. You know, I'm grabbing onto my kid as, you know, I'm watching a nuclear explosion happen, and I can feel the heat. When I woke up, I was hot. I mean, that's kind of interesting, to say the least. Doesn't typically happen very often. Matter of fact, that was the first time I've had a dream that vivid. And another one was I'm sitting at the kitchen table in my grandparents' house, when all of a sudden I look at the clock and I stated to the family that's in there, we're out of time. And as soon as I said that, explosions rock the house. Explosions outside are rocking the house. And my family members get up and they all start running up the stairs while I'm sitting there trying to go out to the cellar and run downstairs. When sudden destruction comes, kind of rings a bell. I'm not saying that my dreams do have any meaning. I don't know. I just find it very interesting. But anyway, so I had this dream last night about trying to get a seat and a throng of people trying to prevent me from getting through them to get to the building to get a seat. And the interesting thing is, if we look at the world and all the events that are going on, can we be sure that we are not in the last days? And if we are in the last days, what should we, the believers, be doing? I believe we should be spreading the good news, that is Jesus Christ, to as many people as we can. And that's one of the reasons why I make these videos. I don't look to profit off of these videos. I don't look for any of that stuff. I'm not looking to become a famous influencer or any of that stuff. I want the message of the good news that is Jesus Christ. The real Jesus Christ, according to the entirety of the Bible, to get out to people. Because I do believe we are running out of time. So yesterday's video was just a simple question I kind of put forward to everybody anybody who watches that video. And I will link that video here. And it's short. That's only a 3-minute video, or a little over 3 minutes. But the verse is from Matthew 9, verse 37, just in case you don't want to click on the video and watch it. So what was today's verse that caused me to start off talking about dreams and running out of time? John 14, verse 6, Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you are going to spread the good news, a great place to start is in John 14. For in Jesus' own words, he tells us that he is God. Yet his humanity isn't speaking the words. This is what Jesus is saying. Jesus is essentially saying, I am God. It is not my humanity that speaks these words, but it is God the Father who is in me, aka Jesus saying this, that speaks with authority. So let's go ahead and let's dive into John 14. Let's discuss, and it's got 3 different titled sections in John 14, and I'm going to go just through the first 2, and I'm going to kind of break them up a little bit. So I'm going to be reading through today on this particular video, part 1. I'm going to go through verses 1 through 14. And I'm going to break it up, and I'll talk a little bit, and I'll talk about which verses I'm speaking of. So let's get to it. All right, so Jesus comforts his disciples. John 14, verses 1 through 4. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. So then it goes into the next section. Jesus, the way to the Father. Verses 5 through 7 is what I will read right now. So Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. So in verse 6, Jesus tells us he is the only way to the Father. And in verse 7, Jesus tells us that because we know him, we also know the Father. Jesus tells his disciples that because they have seen and know Jesus, they now know and have seen the Father. Jesus is equating himself as God. This is Jesus speaking to the people that are around him who are watching everything he's doing, seeing and being part of it. And it is a hard concept to grasp. Even Jesus' disciples who were in his presence have a hard time understanding how this works. How can God be in Jesus if he's the Father and the way Jesus is talking about it? Because Jesus is separating his humanity from his divinity. It is combined in the same body. But this is God we are talking about. A God who can do anything. So why do we keep trying to imprison God into our own limited understanding of things? Job stated, how great is God? Beyond our understanding. The number of his years is past finding out. That's Job 36 verse 20, or Job 36 verse 26. Or Jeremiah stated, he made the earth by his power. He founded the world by his wisdom and stretched out the heavens by his understanding. Jeremiah 51 verse 15. Yet we barely understand our own world. From the tops of the mountains to the very depths of the sea, we don't know only a fraction of what God has designed into everything. To think about that, let alone understanding what is beyond our world, then we humans have the audacity to think we can comprehend all that God is or what God can do. Jesus' disciples had a hard time understanding, and they were with God, as we see in verses 8 through 14. So here we go. Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. Jesus answered, don't you know me, Philip? Even after I have been among you such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Don't you believe that I am in the Father and that the Father is in me? The words I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing his work. Believe me when I say that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves. Very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. You may ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. So verses 8 through 14. It can be confusing when Jesus states in verse 10, not of my own authority, rather it is the Father. And people will point to this and say, well, see, Jesus was human, and he says it's not his authority, it's his Father's authority, it's God's authority. So therefore, Jesus isn't God. However, Jesus is saying this because some of the apostles still only see Jesus as a special human. Jesus is telling them that it isn't his humanity, that his humanness isn't responsible for doing all the miracles, but it is because God is in him, that he and the Father are one. And it states this in the Bible in other verses when Jesus is speaking to people to the point where they wanted to stone him. Now, moving on. Now, if you think by reading this that God will give you anything and everything that you ask for because you use Jesus' name, you will be mistaken. Reread verse 13. And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. Yes, I use, and if you go through the description, you'll see that portion in all caps to make it stand out. If you are asking for stuff out of selfish desire or ambition, Jesus nor God is going to grant you these things unless it serves God's will, that it's for his purpose. If you are asking for stuff, cars, money, fortune, fame, that's not glorifying God, that's glorifying yourself. And Jesus says, I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified. In Jesus' name. We have to understand God knows our hearts. He knows what's on our mind. He will know if it is for your glorification that you're asking for things, or if it is for his. The most important thing to know in this passage is that Jesus Christ is the only way to the Father. There is no other religion, person, actions, prayers, items, ideologies, etc., that are going to get you eternal life in heaven. So are we alone in all of this until Jesus returns? No. Do we need to pray to other people that God utilized in his plan so we can be saved? No. And this is where I'm going to stop part 1. In part 2, I will continue on with verses 15 through 31, and we will discuss why we are not alone. Thank you for watching, and until part 2, God bless and take care.